Hi, and welcome to the Dingers Podcast. This is your host, Mitch. This is episode 86. I'm here with Jake and Jeff. Man, have you been watching the game tonight? There,
Yeah,
Jeffrey?
yeah, I have. I was, really excited when they tried to corral the squirrel there in the second. I left to go upstairs to take care of a couple things. It was 3-0. Came back
To
down.
take a dump?
Yeah, I was taking a dump. Christ. 7-0. I should have taken my phone in there with me. I could have. Then I know what the hell happened. Jake, how are you doing? What were you just doing?
I was just shredding some chicken.
Hear that?
Barbecue chicken.
Everyone, he was choking his chicken.
Yeah, choking. Yes. It was. You know what? I'm calling Squirrel Gate. I can't believe they tried to corral the squirrel.
Yeah.
I wasn't completely focused on the game before that happened, but Caleb looked good, and I'm saying that pause threw him off.
Yep, there it is.
I blame the Pirates grounds crew for that.
And the squirrel wasn't hurting anybody. He wasn't bothering Ian Happ.
Squirrels run away from people.
Yeah.
You're not like if the fielder runs in its direction, it's not gonna jump. The squirrel's not gonna jump on an outfielder.
I will say that when my wife and I first got married, we were in an apartment, and there was a squirrel that would just steal all of our bird seed from that we're trying to feed the birds. And so I was really close to building this contraption that would launch the squirrel like a slingshot, like it would just and shoot it way out there, but never went that far. But the squirrel ended up just leaving us alone after a while, after I would chase it away every single time. But yeah, squirrel.
I almost had a squirrel run up my shorts leg. Yeah. True story.
Tell this story.
I was on the roof. So I was sitting out on my patio. I was reading the Sunday paper, and I'm kind of looking up at my roof, and I'm like, there's something looking at me in the roof vent. And sure enough, a squirrel had chewed its way into my roof vent and was living in my attic. So I got some stuff to kind of patch the hole to keep the squirrel out until I could change the roof vent. So I'm up there sitting on the peak, and my buddy is on the ladder at the base of my roof, which I have like a 412 pitch. It's super steep. This squirrel comes shooting out of that roof vent that is like right next to me, runs down the roof towards my buddy, catches him in the eye, turns around and runs right back at me, and I can't move. I am literally not in a great position. That thing ran right through between my legs and jumped over my right shoulder into the pine tree behind me.
Squirrels, man. Crazy.
I hate them.
If it wasn't the squirrel's fault tonight, it's definitely we can blame VR because I mean those two drop ball and then a boot easy double play ball could have got Caleb out of that inning with only one run. Instead, it was 3-0. I mean, so we can either blame either or. So this episode is proudly sponsored by ShyCitySports.com. We're part of the ShyCitySports.com podcasting network. We're free and available wherever you find your podcasts. So give us a listen and a subscribe. And yeah, we also have a YouTube channel at Shy City Sports on the YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at Dinger Cubs. We love interacting with you guys. So give us a follow there. But man, going into this weekend, who would have thought that we would have taken 2 of 3 from the Atlanta Braves, who were on a 14-game winning streak?
Yeah. So we snapped a 10-game skid. We snapped their 14-game streak and kept them from winning 15 in a row, which would have been a club record. And also, I think the previous 5 games before that, then they hit 20 dingers, and they left.
The Braves
Chicago
were on
3.
a dinger tear.
Whew.
Let's start with game 1, which was Friday, and the 1-run win, which I watched all that game. That was a fun pitchers duel to kind of watch. What were your big takeaways and thoughts, Jake, with that one, which will lead us into the big conversation for tonight of talking about Justin Steele and Keegan Thompson?
Yeah, so Mitch, you and I were asked to be on Cubs on Tap Thursday night. and you had one of your son had a game.
Yep.
So I was able to join Joey Ricotta, and we had a great conversation. And at the end of the episode, we obviously talked about the Padres series, which was still to come. And I told him that the big thing that I wanted to look out for was pitching. I actually said that if you want a reason to watch the Braves series as a Cubs fan, you get to watch Ronald Acuna and Kyle Wright, who we ended up sticking it to. But I said toward the end of the episode that all streaks have to come to an end. And Charlie Morton has had a kind of an up and down season this year. Really brutal start to the season, but has kind of been riding the ship recently. Obviously pitched very well against the Cubs, but Thompson, didn't outduel him, but he went toe-to-toe with him. And that's exactly what we needed to see. And after the previous two starts that Thompson had made, I did not expect that to happen. But he went up against a really good Braves lineup and gave the Cubs exactly what they needed. 6 innings, no runs.
Nope.
Was it 6 innings and 5
6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 0 earned runs, 2 base and balls, and 9 Ks.
Oh, 9. Wow. Sorry for selling him short.
I think that's a career high for him.
It was, yes. Now I do
9
remember
Ks.
seeing the graphic that it was a career high. Yeah. So it's,
And he had a career high 18 whiffs.
So the whiff metric, we've talked about it on here before. The called strike and whiffs percentage is a good thing to look at to see it. If a pitcher really pitched well, that percentage will be like 30 plus. But yeah, no, I think he pitched really well. It was a fun pitcher's duel to watch. Definitely a nail biter at the end. I kind of, because didn't Robertson did he load the bases?
There was a guy on or two that got on, but
Got a couple of jams.
yeah,
It was a rough start to the 9th, I remember. And I was like, yeah, typical Cubs fashion. Like, I didn't expect to get a win in that series with how the Braves had been playing and how we'd been playing. So to win the series felt great.
Yeah, and that's coming off Thompson had a really bad outing where I think he gave up what was it, 6? Can't remember. He gave up quite a few in his last outing. So to see him bounce back, and if you listen to the CHGO Cubs podcast today, Brandon kind of alluded to that he kind of threw a different type of pitch, a little bit like the spin rate on it or the spin axis was more of a slider, and actually MLB called it a slider when they for his pitches, and usually Thompson doesn't throw slider at all, and I think he threw it 9 times. It never got a whiff on it, but it was called for a strike, or they hit it and it provided an out for us. So it's interesting that he's making adjustments and changes, and it's good to see him make adjustments and changes, especially after his last outing that we saw. That's with any of these guys. Like, we kind of go into this year, all of us, we knew that this was going to be, especially from our pitching side, where we wanted to see what we had in Steele and what we had in Thompson. And because of the injuries, we're kind of getting exactly what we want. We're getting to see these guys get starts, get more than 5 innings if they can get there, and really see what we have in them as starters. Steele struggled. He got his first win on Saturday since his opening day, or his second the second game of the season, his start then. But he's pitched really, really well. Besides the one game, I would say, in Cincinnati on May 26th, where he gave up 7 earned runs. If you take that game out, he has a 3.33 ERA, which is pretty decent. I would take that as an ERA for Steele. He's pitched really well. And the last couple starts, he's really found it. He's attacking hitters. So you got to love what you're getting out of both of those. But with Thompson, I think when you go into a 10-game losing streak, you need a stopper. And he was the perfect guy to pitch in that situation because he's kind of a bulldog on the mound that he's not going to take any crap. And he provided that stop to kind of right the ship a little bit. Obviously tonight, we might have still have some holes in our boat, but he pitched well. What I even liked even more in that game was Christopher Morel. Before that game-winning hit or game-winning sac fly, he had K'd 3 times. And from a young guy who K'd 3 times earlier in the game to still be able to have the composure to be able to do the right thing for his team, like that's huge. Like that's the type of Christopher Morel has kind of been what I've been watching the Cubs for. It's like, he's really the only spark plug that I like watching right now. And so he did great on that game. And then we get into on Saturday's game. I didn't catch this one as much because my son was in a tournament all day. We got to listen to the last few innings. Man, Justin Steele, we can get into Justin Steele a little bit. Jake, what can we say that Justin Steele has really righted the ship and that he's going to be a future starter for us?
I would still hesitate. I talked to Joey about this on Thursday night as well. And my reason for hesitating is because I want to say this is the 3rd start now. So I think the Cardinals start was the first. So the last 3 were Cardinals, Padres, and Braves, who are 3 very good offensive teams. Let's not, those are very good. I mean, they're offensive powerhouses in the National League this year. And I want to say before the Cardinals start was when he had that conversation with John Lester about establishing his fastball.
Yep.
He has since thrown the fastball, I believe, over 60% of the time. And it is rare to see any starting pitcher in the league throw any pitch more than like 50% of the time, 40% of the time even. So he's clearly establishing the fastball, and there's got to be something there. His fastball spin rate is in the 92nd percentile, and there's got to be something with, because he's throwing it up in the zone a lot, if I'm correct. Let me look at the pitch. Yeah. So he's throwing it up in the zone, and the reason why I hesitate is because I want to see if hitters can adjust to that. You would kind of think after 2 games of that footage that maybe the Braves, a good right-handed hitting team, would have been able to make that adjustment. If he goes out and pitches another good inning, I don't expect him to be a big strikeout guy unless he can really figure out how to work his breaking pitches off of the high fastball, because he does have good breaking balls, as we've seen. But right now he's not really getting swinging strikes. His strikeout rate has been low, but that doesn't really matter if you're getting the results and not letting up runs and giving up soft contact, which he has. So if he has one more good start, limiting hard contact and, a quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs, sure. Yeah, I mean, he could be a 4 or 5 in a competitive team's rotation. What do you think, Jeff?
Oh, definitely. That's the thing with young pitchers is they gotta go through some rough patches before they, become the next great or an ace or a top tier pitcher. It's all part of development and learning. For look at Kyle. He still have some gaffes every now and then. It happens. It's hard to be perfect every 5th day, and pitch a shutout.
Well, speaking of Kyle, so I went and looked at Fangraphs of Kyle Hendricks in 2015 because I kind of relate to Steele and Thompson, kind of in the same place in their career as Kyle Hendricks in 2015. And Hendricks finished the season, and that's what we're kind of look forward to. How are Thompson and Steele, if they're going to be a mainstay in this rotation, how are they going to finish the season? This is what we need to kind of watch. Not necessarily wins and losses, because that stat was kind of dumb, but are they pitching into the 6th inning, giving us innings? And how are they attacking hitters in limiting the damage when runners get on? That's the big thing. And so when I look back at Kyle Hendricks, his finish to the season in 2015, his last 10, he pitched 6 or more innings in all of them but one. In that one game, he pitched 3 innings. In that game, he gave up 4 earned runs. Everything else was under 3. The last 2 starts of that season, he had 0 earned runs, and he pitched 7 innings. Gave up 0 home runs. The one game he gave up like 3 home runs, and that was to Pittsburgh in that year, which Pittsburgh in 2015 was a very good team.
Yeah, they made the playoffs. As the
we beat him in the wild card.
We beat him in the wild card. So when I look at him and how he finished that season, and that's a young, and I even went back to the 2014 season and look at Hendricks just to see. There was a lot of times where he would have 2 or 3 good starts in a row, and then he would have a clunker, and then he'd have 2 or 3 really good starts, and then he'd have a clunker. And so it's like when even you look at tonight with Caleb Killian, like you saw right away, he had a really good first inning, looked really, really sharp, and then he came out and he walked. Did he walk the first guy?
Yeah, it was Vogelbach,
and then the second guy, VR should have caught the pop-up, but got dropped, and he walked that guy. And the next guy got it, and then it was a
bobble,
base hit, and 2 of them scored. And so it's like when Caleb Killian, if he can establish fastball and throw it for a strike in the zone and can work good counts, the sad thing is he's getting behind and can't establish his fastball, and then he gets behind in counts, and then hitters just sit on it. And so it's the same with like what we need to watch for Thompson and with Steele. How are they attacking hitters, and are they getting good hitters out? If you've watched any of Killian's starts, like I've watched all 3 of his starts, he pitched around Goldschmidt. Who do you pitch in the second? Was it the Padres? Was that a second start versus the Padres?
Boy, I do not recall.
I just remember his first start. He was pitching really, really good against the Cardinals, and then he got to Goldschmidt the second time, and you could tell he was pitching around him. And then that was the inning he gave up like 2 or 3 runs, and they got on him. And in the second start, I can't remember who it was.
It was the Padres.
It was the Padres, and he got to Manny Machado, and he pitched around Manny Machado, and then they got some runs. He's still young and not going to attack those really good hitters. So I want to see him get to a point where
he's going to go after him.
He goes after him. Like that's the one thing I have to give it up to Steele and Thompson. I think that helps them is they started in the bullpen where they had to attack hitters because they only had 1 inning. And so they learned that right away, how to attack those type of hitters. And so that's something
point.
I want to see. Going forward.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think the big thing, I mean, we'll keep hitting it, but yeah, he's got to have confidence in his fastball. I mean, but like I don't think I mentioned this while we were recording. I think I was talking about it beforehand. And I was listening to the Athletic Onto Waveland podcast, and Sahadev Sharma, I think, was talking about it as well, that just watching Killian in the Padres start, I didn't really notice it as much in this start, but obviously it must have still been there. You could kind of tell that something was off mechanically, even as a guy that doesn't know pitching mechanics very well, right? I mean, there was something to be said about him finishing with a lot of his pitches up in the zone. I'm really sorry if you can hear my dog playing with his toy behind me. It's very annoying. But there was something about him finishing with a lot of pitches up in the zone and then overcompensating, holding on to pitches too long and throwing balls in the dirt. A run scored tonight on a wild pitch, a fastball that he threw in the dirt that Contreras didn't do a very good job of blocking either. But it just is, it's going to get there. But the most perplexing thing, and they talked about on the broadcast tonight, last year he pitched like 105 innings or something like that, and he only walked 13. So what is being lost between the minor league season last year and this year? And I don't know what his minor league walk rate was this year.
I do know his K rate is way up. I mean, I think it was a whole point up, like percentage point up than last year and the year before.
I mean, let's see. So in the minors this year, he's walked 16 guys in 43 innings, which that's fine. I mean, that seems sustainable to me. A whip of 1.35. But last year I don't know where Boog was getting the 100. Okay, here we go. So 100 in the third innings, 13 walks, and 112 strikeouts. So, I mean, there's something that's being lost in translation here, or in transition, I should say. And I talked about it with Joey that at least right now, I saw someone, Brian Smith, the Bleacher Nation minor league writer, I saw him tweet to somebody that he thinks that it would help Killian to go back down for a little bit and work on whatever mechanical.
Yeah, I agree.
Form. Yes, but at the same time, I think there's something to be said about him gaining a comfortability with the major league coaching staff.
Yeah, and I think too it comes like what I said before. Like, I think him having to, like, in the minor leagues, you're just attacking hitters. Whoever's up, you're just going to attack and try. There isn't the Goldschmidts and the Manny Machados that come up in the inning where you might want to pitch around to be able to get to the next guy. You play like you just do that. You play that game and you try to get the best matchups for you. And so in the minors, you're not doing that. And so that might be something that he has to adjust to be able to find it when he is working around somebody, that he still can find it after that at bat.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Mitch, I'm looking at the notes here, and we kind of, pitching is the big thing to talk about right now, but talk about go into these Justin Steele numbers, because I kind of touched on it. I don't mean to jump really quickly, but I want to make sure that we hit on this. I talked about Steele's contact management, but you really did a deep dive on those numbers that I just scratched the surface on. I want to let's talk through those really quick.
Go for it.
Oh, you're the one that wrote him. If you want to go into it, this is a great transition.
Like you're the numbers guy, Jake.
Yeah, that's what I was leaving up to. I got this tweet. I copied from Michael Charmy from Bleacher Nation. He put the stat out there. So, like, his hard hit percentage is 29.9%. The average exit velo is 85.5 miles per hour. The barrel rate percent is 1.3. So people are not hitting Justin Steele very hard. And they're not getting
to put
very
that,
good launching
context really quick. The MLB average exit velocity is 88.4% or 88.4 miles an hour. So he's 3 miles per hour below that. And the MLB average barrel rate is 6.7%. So he's like 5+% below that. That's very, very good.
Yeah. People aren't squaring him up. And even the last couple of games when he's throwing the fastball, it's like he doesn't have a dominating fastball, and they're still having trouble squaring him up. Yeah, that's something like I don't know how and why, but those numbers are something that to keep watching. Is can he continue this the rest of the year? Because then it is something. He has something on hitters, or he has something that he's working that's in his favor. And I mean, I'd love to ask him that and hey, what is it that you're doing? And he might not want to let that secret out of the bag.
He might not let that smoke out of the jar.
Yeah. I wonder. That's where we got to get our guy Lance Brozdowski on the job. I'm sure. Maybe he's already gone into it, but if not, I hope he talks about it on the next broadcast. What Steele's done differently with that fastball.
Disguising his pitch. Maybe they just can't, you know what I mean? Like release point.
And it might be just how he attacks hitters. It might be that he has something like that he took from Lester, and Lester's really kind of maybe he's having continuing conversations with Lester, and Lester's kind of taking him under his wing. And no, we kind of throw alike. We're lefties. We kind of have the same mechanics. This is how you should be attacking guys. I would love to, I wish I could do this. Love to just go in and look at Lester, and are those percentages similar to Lester at this age? Was Lester getting barrel rate at this percentage? Was he getting exit velo at this percentage? If he's attacking hitters the same way, there might be a correlation there that like, no, there's just how they're attacking hitters, how they're going after, how they're throwing their fastball to righties and different to lefties.
I mean, it'd be great to see. I mean, Steele's got a good curveball. It'd be great to see that curveball fastball combination like Lester had. And then he's got the slider, right? Maybe he's able to cut it, maybe, keep the velocity up and throw it for more of a cutter to be effective against righties. And then, you've got, kind of a new John Lester type pitcher. I mean, that's not to say he's going to be as successful, but if you've got him in the rotation, obviously the connection to John Lester helps, and Hottovy worked with John Lester. So having that knowledge and that connection could definitely be beneficial. But like I said, I do think if one more start we see these numbers continue from Steele, then I mean I will say that yes, Steele has earned a rotation spot next season. But again, I see him as more like a 4 or 5 starter in a competitive rotation.
Yeah. The thing that I kind of liked out of Steele's start, since we're on him, is throughout this season, there's always been that one inning where he's gotten into a little bit of trouble and he ends up giving up like 3 runs or 4 runs in that inning. And that kind of just implodes and then he gets pulled. And that's why he's had a lot of like short outings. So it's like the second time through the order, he runs into a little tough stretch. But what we've seen lately is when he's gotten to those little tough stretches where he gets a guy on base, he's worked out of it. We saw it on Saturday in the 5th.
Right.
Got a guy on, but they kept him out there, which I love that Ross is letting these young guys kind of work through some stuff.
Man,
and he figured it out and got out of trouble.
I hate the early hook with these young guys because if you don't let them try to work out of trouble, they're at some point they're not going to be able to do it or believe in themselves enough to do it.
Well, especially this year, like we're over 10 guys under 500. Like, come on, like just let them work. That's why I'm so mad. Like VR playing second base and Hayward out there. It's like I'm over it by now. Like I just want young guys. I want to see what we have. I want to see what Chase Strump has. Call him up. Like you had a great tweet last week. Like we need to see these guys.
I was gonna say I want to do like a little down on the farm segment.
Yeah.
Did I just cut out?
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, we need to do it down on the farm because your tweet. If you're follow Jake on Twitter, go back last week and look at his Chase Strump tweet that. Since Madrigal's down, we should be bringing him up and giving him a shot because he's been absolutely raking down at AA.
Yeah, I'll go into this really quick. So in the month of June, really quickly, I'll preface his April and May numbers were, I mean, the OPS in April was 790 and in May was 853. So that's solid. I mean, on base, 410 on base in May, which is great. But he's really putting things together in June with the average too. So his slash is 296, 406, 611, good for a 1017 OPS, which is phenomenal. The one problem is the K rate. 22 strikeouts and 54 at bats. That's it's rough. It's really rough. I mean, that's I mean, not 50%, but it's up there. It's Patrick Wisdom-esque. And I don't know. I mean, at the same time, too, how old is the guy? He's like 24. I don't think it hurts to give him a little taste. I hope that in the next month, we either get a VR DFA or a trade miraculously that opens up playing time for someone like Chase Strump.
He could be the next Christopher Morel.
I mean, Morel was having strikeout. Like he has a history of K problems at the minor league level. I know it's been talked about the difference, like the adjustment that he made, and I can't remember as he gets a base hit right here. I can't remember exactly what the difference is, what he's done at the plate. I think just shortening his swing has been the big thing. They showed him doing like the wall drill, keeping the bat inside because he had a tendency to do a long swing and kind of cast out. So I think that's been a big thing. I don't know. Is it that easy for Strumpf? Maybe. I don't think it's very, very often that ends up being the case, and it's that easy a fix. But Chase Strumpf has been hot. At one point he was a top 10 prospect in the system. I don't know, he's probably in the upper teens now with the influx of talent that we got last year. But I say give him a shot. And then we can I want to talk about both guys, but the next guy that I want to hit on is I just have two. Next guy is Narciso Crook, who is
He's been ripping it up at He's been ripping it up at AAA.
Oh, he's, like 1250 OPS in June. Again, we saw good on base in May. 333 is solid. Strikeout rate has come down in June. But the guy's tearing the cover off the ball. I don't know if he was ever like a big prospect or anything. I don't have that knowledge offhand. But again, this is the season to give guys a taste. And the guys
down in Iowa say he's a huge like morale guy. Like
that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Like he's a great clubhouse guy, great dude in the clubhouse. Like everybody loves him. He's thought about having him on the podcast because they said he's a great interview.
Oh, if you can get him, get him.
Yeah. Which will lead me to we might have a podcast interview on our podcast this week with Cam Sanders. So Cam Sanders down AAA right now has a 2.76 ERA. The dude throws mid to upper 90s. His final line in his last game, they're kind of doing what they did with Caleb Killian, where they're not throwing him more than like 4 or 5 innings. So his last outing was 4 innings, 1 hit, 0 runs, 4 base on balls, 3 Ks. He threw 73 pitches and 42 of them for strikes. So he's been doing awesome down in Iowa. The dude is just electric on the mound. I think he had one like top out at like 99 this last outing. So like just the dude's fun on the mound. Would love to see him get a spot start, especially after the trade deadline. Get all these young guys up there and see what we have.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. It's definitely coming. I mean, he showed some bursts last year. I think he had a really good start to the season. It was rough in the middle and then maybe a strong finish. But the way that he's been pitching this summer, I mean, he's putting it all on the line, and he kind of knows. I feel like he's got to know this is like a make or break season for him. And I've really liked what I've seen. And the dude's got a presence on the mound. I mean, the strut is real. Yep. So I'd love to see him. And I think after the deadline, it's going to happen. I think Swarmer moves to the bullpen once the bullpen trades are made, and we see Sanders in the rotation.
Yeah, I see Schwarmer's more of a bullpen guy. A 2-pitch pitcher, and he doesn't have an elite fastball to be. He's going to come in and be a bullpen guy. What were you going to ask, Jeff?
How much of this success these young players are having, how much of it correlates to the type of workout that they got during the lockout, being in Arizona?
Oh, yeah.
Room and board, transportation, not a lot of stress in your life, just work out, play some ball.
Yeah, that's what we've seen a couple of those guys that got that extra time this offseason that stayed and worked for the last 4 months during the offseason come down with injuries. So I liked it that the Cubs did that, but you have here Brennan Davis went down. You have Pete Crow Armstrong, who was there. He went down. You have a couple other minor league pitching guys that have gone down with injuries. I mean, injuries are going to happen. So I don't want to credit it to that. It's that. But, yeah, I think especially with some of these young guys like Killian, like I think having the Arizona Fall League has kind of led into this season where they wanted to see what they had in him, and he did well at AAA, and has kind of struggled here in the majors. But I still want to see him get those starts in the majors to see what we have, see if he can work through them, because you never know. Like, I mean, we saw with Hendricks back in 2015, he worked through them, and then 2016, 2017, he was lights out, one of the best pitchers in baseball. So when you don't have any of the stress to like be the guy, they can just go out there and deal. And so that's what Hendricks was. We just need a guy up front that kind of takes the shine off them, where they can just go and pitch. And right now, all of the guys like that, Hendricks, Stroman, Miley, are all injured or not performing well. So then everybody's focus is just on Steele, Thompson, Killian, because that's all we have to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, we have 4 against the Pirates here. We need for our sanity, we need to take at least
3.
two. I would say split. We just need a split in Pittsburgh. The good thing is we have Ian Happ still raking, playing amazing baseball. Jake, do you think he's going to get dealt?
Man, I sure hope not. I would be heartbroken. I think let's face it. Right now, he would catch a great return.
Yep.
He's got another year of club control after this year. He's clearly able to connect with the fan base thanks to the podcast. I wonder if some of that media savvy that he got came from KB, because we kind of saw Chris Bryant break out of his shell a little bit in his last couple of years with the Cubs. And I think Happ's now being more outspoken. So he's proven that he can do that in a big market while now performing and playing good defense. But, man, you also hope that because he's created this persona and endeared himself to Cubs fans, that the front office wisens up and says, no. This is a guy that we can build around. If we want to have veteran presence and leadership in the outfield, this is the guy that should do it. And I don't know, like, I'm not saying that, if they were to sign him to an extension at the end of this season, I'm not saying, like, 'cause he's 27 or 28 right now. I'm not saying he gets like an 8-year extension because we have talent in the minors. But I don't know, man. I go back and forth. I would be heartbroken. Like I said, I hope he doesn't get traded, but he's red hot. I think he's got a really great pace to make the All-Star team. And I have up here his. I wanted to talk about his June really quick. His June, he's batting .371, .444, .581. So that's a 1025 OPS. He has cut his strikeout rate by like 10% this season. His walk rate is in the 96th percentile. He's running the bases well. He's got 5 stolen bases. He just got a hit right now as I'm watching the game. Drove in a run. It's great for my fantasy team. I love the guy. He's doing everything right. He's entering his prime years. I think the Cubs would be stupid not to retain him. It made sense to trade the core guys last year at the ages that they were and the games that they played, but Happ doesn't have an injury history, and he's only gotten better. He's made the adjustments that he's had to make, so I hope they hold on to him. What do you guys think?
I want them to hold on to him.
Yeah. I think he kind of really turned a corner this year. Like, he kind of picked up where he left off last year. And has been a bright spot besides morale. But, yeah, total different start to his season, and I think he's just kind of continued to build on that. I mean, we can't sell everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, something.
Speaking of another outfielder who's young and we would like to see more of, Clint Frazier has accepted his designation to Iowa, or he got DFA'd and no team picked him up. And so he could either become a free agent or sign with the Cubs or keep his contract with the Cubs and just go to the minors, which if you're Clint Frazier, you signed a pretty good deal and you want that money, that guaranteed money. And I don't think he would have got that anywhere else from any other team, is with the Iowa Cubs now. And I want to see him rake down there. I do. I want to see him prove the Cubs wrong and rake and force them to DFA Hayward and get him back up there. So hopefully, like, give him a month and a half. By September, hopefully he's raking and the Cubs can call him up and see what we have. Like, that's the whole thing this whole year. We wanted to see what we had in Frazier, and then he never got any playing time. And so with 46 at-bats, to DFA him was not enough at-bats to see what you had in this guy. He has a pedigree to be really, really good. We need to see more. And so I'm glad that he's down in Iowa. Hopefully he kills it down there and we see him back up. And then he kind of does what Hap did. He figures it out and comes up and rakes, and we can kind of build around him.
And I think it's plausible that there could be a flurry of roster moves around the deadline that would. So the trade deadline is like what, August 2nd or 3rd or something. It's after the weekend, or it's
before the Field of Dreams game.
Right. So it's not July 31st anymore. I think they changed that last year. And it's very plausible that in the playing time that he gets, I don't expect him to be called up before the deadline, because he'll get everyday time in the minors. And Suzuki just started his rehab assignment today, I want to say, in Arizona. So he'll come back, and that leaves us kind of with a jam in the outfield. But what we're seeing right now is Ortega's getting those DH at bats. He's trending in the right direction offensively. He's not a bad defensive player. He's a left-handed bat that a competitive team might want.
I saw him playing right field coming in for Hayward late in the game on Friday. Did you guys notice that?
I did not see that.
Yeah, they pulled Hayward, I'm pretty sure, and had Ortega out in
center. Did he get
moved over to center? I can't.
I feel like there might have been some pinch hit now, if I remember that.
Because I just remember in the 9th inning, there was a hit out to right field, and Ortega caught it. I was like, "Where's Hayward? He was starting. What happened?"
You know what? I want to say that the Braves brought in a lefty, and they pinch hit Hayward, and then they defensive subbed Ortega. I think that may be what happened.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like, if he keeps trending in the right direction, he might get dealt. And if you're listening, don't expect a huge return for Rafael Ortega. As good a story as he's been, but that clears up a spot in the outfield. I don't think. Unfortunately, Wisdom's offense is like really trending down. He's batting like 175 in June, so I don't think that we're going to move him. But if we did, I'd like to see Morel play more infield. It's great to know that he can play center field, but put his versatility on
display.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, sir. I'm off tonight.
You're welcome.
Well, we don't have too much more to talk about, but I did want to ask you guys, did you guys sign up to win tickets or win the raffle to be able to purchase tickets to the Field of Dreams game?
No.
So I signed up and did not win. But I put it out there that if anybody had tickets wanting to sell, that I would listen. And so somebody hit me up. Guess how much somebody hit me up per ticket?
$750.
$750?
Yeah.
You'd be low.
I was going to say like $1,500.
You're low.
You know,
still,
somebody asked me what I thought
so
about
first
this.
it was like $2,000 per ticket. And so nobody must have taken him up on this offer, because now he's dropped it to $2,000 for both tickets. And it's still high. Like, it's the worst two teams in baseball.
Yeah.
I get that it's the Field of Dreams.
See,
I can go to the Field of Dreams anytime I want
for nothing.
For nothing.
You
Like-
run the bases. You can have a catch. You can hit some balls. Yeah, that's the problem with the Field of Dreams game is that the common man is not going to be able to take their kid and experience that ambiance of the child's game. You know, that in a place that was made famous by Hollywood script.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the Super Bowl here in Iowa played in a cornfield. And that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go to the game. Like
Sure.
I'm gonna go to the Field of Dreams like that day or like before and kind of just try to like
Take it in.
yeah, take it in, even if I'm just outside of it. Like I want to like be there and just kind of
Hey, knock on
see
the
the
door. See if you can use
activities.
the bathroom in the house.
Coach Ballgame's gonna do a Sandlot kids like
Oh, that's
practice,
great.
and I was gonna do that with him. But like that much for these tickets, I don't know. I'm gonna see if he will just if I can just ride him out and he'll keep lowering the price.
He won't, because some idiot will buy them.
Not this guy.
Some idiot will buy him and wants to take his kid, and the kid will want to be at the concession stand more than I want to be in the seats, not catch a moment of the game. It'll be great. Good times.
But-
Kid's going to remember everything.
I do want to be a good game for MLB's sake and for the Cubs' sake. That hopefully it's a good game. I know the last time the Cubs and Reds played, there was a little heat going on with Joey Votto chirping at Wick. Hopefully there's none of that going on. But
Two
just
Canadians wearing off.
yeah, just needed to, yeah, take it to Canada if you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Not to Iowa. Don't bring that stuff to Iowa.
No.
But yeah, I just want a good game. So hopefully we can experience a good game at the Field of Dreams.
Can't wait to
game.
see what throwbacks.
Yeah, what the jerseys will look like.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I hope they go something from like early, like Ernie Banks' career. You know what I mean? Like
It's
they-
probably going to be the early 1900s, just like last
Yeah.
year, like with the Black Sox era.
Yep.
It might even be the Feds. It might be the Chicago Feds.
Yeah. Definitely probably will be. Anyway, that does it for episode 86 of the Dingers podcast. Again, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Dinger Cubs and subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on wherever you listen to our podcasts. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dingers podcast.
Good night, John Boy.